Welcome to Labus TV, labor and business television, where we bring new perspective to every story. We promote awareness on events in various sectors of the economy in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. We celebrate global leaders and personalities that have risen against all odds, making tremendous strides in countless industries. With innovative, unbiased, cutting-edge stories and global events just for you. Don't miss our exclusive interviews with world leaders and entrepreneurs as they share their inspiring stories with the world. And be sure to catch our Labor Roundtable, highlighting views on labor issues. Be sure to also grab your Global Labor Events and Business Magazine, a magazine you must have. So join us here on Labus TV. This is where great conversations begin.
Hello, and welcome to another interesting episode of Exclusive Interview on Labus TV. My name remains Shirley Murphy. And as always, Exclusive Interview is that program that is specially designed to celebrate great personalities, amazing personalities that has risen against all odds to become a voice and making and provide solutions to various issues in their respective industries. This is where the conversation begins exclusively on Exclusive Interview. So join us as we take you on a journey with our special guest every episode of the show where you'll be inspired, informed, and of course, educated. As you are joining us, don't forget to share this broadcast and of course, invite your friends and family members to join us because on this platform, we are all about learning. I would also like to inform you that we are now streaming live this broadcast on YouTube. So if that's your preferred platform, you can join us on YouTube. The link is in the comment section below. Now, in today's episode of the show, I have in the studio with me very, a very remarkable. In fact, I must say this. This is the first labor leader on Exclusive Interview show. Wow. Round of applause to us. And I know this is going to be an epic discussion with the President General of the Federal Parastatals and Private Sector Pensioners Association of Nigeria, FEPAN. This man is a senior citizen and he is a very active unionist. He will be sharing with us what he terms as a holistic approach to addressing pensioners' plights, pensioners' issues in Nigeria. My guest is a senior comrade, I must say, and he's a leader with a difference on a selfless service to help better the welfare of pensioners in Nigeria, particularly pensioners in the federal parastatals and the private sector. He himself is a federal pensioner from the electricity sector and having worked for years and retired voluntarily from the service of the then National Electric Power Authority, NEPA. No, NEPA. When in Nigeria we say up NEPA, up NEPA, up NEPA. And he retired in 1996 before the organization was privatized into what we now have, the name changed into now what we now have, the Power Holding Company of Nigeria, the PHCN. So now this is going to be an interesting discussion because as you all know, Nigerians, the pensioners in Nigeria go through a whole lot of situations, if after spending so many years, some working for 30, 35 years of their lives in active service, and in the end up without a strong pension coverage. Every episode of the show, as you know, is for us to be educated. So stick around and ensure that you get your pen and get your notepad so you can take notes, because we are out to get you educated in everywhere possible that we can. All right, so before I bring up my guests, let's go on a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Labus TV, labor and business television, where we bring new perspective to every story. We promote awareness on events in various sectors of the economy in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. We celebrate global leaders and personalities that have risen against all odds, making tremendous strides in countless industries. With innovative, unbiased, cutting-edge stories and global events just for you. Don't miss our exclusive interviews with world leaders and entrepreneurs as they share their inspiring stories with the world. And be sure to catch our Labor Roundtable, highlighting views on labor issues. Be sure to also grab your Global Labor Events and Business magazine, a magazine you must have. So join us here on Labus TV. This is where great conversations begin.
All right, welcome back. So today I'll be interviewing the very indefatigable president of FEPAN as he shares insightful stories highlighting the plight of pensioners in Nigeria and how his union is helping pensioners with a better welfare package. So please welcome with me Chief. No, I have to call him with every um, respect, honor, and Chief. It's not easy. Welcome with me, Chief Dr. Temple Ubani JP. Yeah, that has to be there. Welcome to the show, sir.
For having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So, Chief, sir. No, comrade. Let's drop the chief now and use the terms that we are familiar with as a unionist. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Can you tell us a bit more about yourself, sir? Your journey in unionism and how it led to who you are today or where you are today.
Yeah, thank you, Shelley, and thank you for having me. As you can see from my brief biography, I am a federal pensioner of the electricity sector, having worked and retired voluntarily from the services of NEPA in 1996. While in active service, I was a very active trade unionist in the Nigeria Union of Electricity and Gas Workers, NUEWO, which the name has changed now to NUI, National Union of Electricity Employees. On retirement, I organized the Abuja chapter of the NEPA Pensioners Union, which became an affiliate of the Nigeria Union of Pensioners, and our name changed from NUP NEPA Pensioners Union, NEPA Pensioners Union to NUP Electricity Sector branch as a result of an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, which was facilitated by the then Registrar of Trade Union in 2006, when I was the National Treasurer of the Electricity Sector Pensioners Union.
Okay.
I was elected the National President of the NUP Electricity Sector in 2011 and re-elected to the same office in 2015. However, in 2017, following the persistent violation of the 2006 Memorandum of Understanding by the Nigeria Union of Pensioners, national headquarters. The electricity sector pensioners severed the relationship with NUP, national headquarters, and became a CSA, Corporate Affairs Commission Incorporated Trustee of the Electricity Sector Retirees Welfare Association, SREWA. When that happened, I was unanimously retained as the national president and registered board of trustees chairman of SREWA. However, when it became very obvious that the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, the NUP, which was hitherto the monopoly registered union for retirees across the country, had become unwieldy, unprogressive, and of course, incapable of protecting the interests of all Nigerian pensioners, particularly the federal, parastatals, and private sector pensioners. We came together and resolved to approach the relevant authorities and agencies of government for recognition as a distinct trade union to cater for the interests of our members. And so, following due processes of application, approval by the Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment, the Registrar of Trade Union conveyed to us, the formal registration and gazetting of FEPAN in 2020 in accordance with the Trade Union Act laws of the Federation. Thus, I became the pioneer President General of FEPAN. That has been the journey so far.
Wow. I know it sounds like a humble journey, but I can tell that it wasn't that humble. It had challenges, it had a whole lot of things in it, but at last, as our people will say, you made it through, and you are now the pioneer President General of PEPAN. I want to celebrate you for your journey because, of course, I know a bit about how you started from when you were the president of NUP under the electricity sector then, and the journey that brought you to FEPAN. So I want to say congratulations all the way.
Thank you very much.
The journey wouldn't have been that smooth, but then you are still standing. So thank you so very much for sharing, your story with us. So very quickly, sir,
Yes.
it is a known fact that pensioners in Nigeria suffers a great deal. After years of service, and in the end, their benefits are not paid to them as at when due. Some, even after getting the payment is nothing to write home about. It's not enough to cater for their well-being, cater for their family and all of that. So as a stakeholder or as a leader leading this set of people, what would be your view or your take on this, sir?
Thank you once again. The truth is that, no condition is permanent. They say it's a maxim that is recognized worldwide. However, I will tell you right away that pre-Buhari administration, pension was a nightmare for both the pensioners and the governments that paid pension. The monumental frauds perpetrated by government officials, sometimes in collaboration with the recipients, especially the so-called ghost pensioners, was to say the least an unpardonable crime against humanity. The sheer lack of political will to implement the Pension Reform Act 2004 until 2014 or thereabout created a loophole for pension fraudsters to thrive. The argument about whether pension schemes were adequately funded or not before now, that is talking about the federal government pensioners, has been proven to be unnecessary with the happenings in the recent past of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. The federal pensioners now receive their money, their monthly pensions fairly, regularly, and promptly.
Okay.
The PTAD is a pension transitional arrangement directorate, which is now administering the defined benefit scheme. Is also introducing various operational innovations and guidelines to sanitize the sector. And the routine field verification exercises have, by PTAD, has significantly reduced the incidences of ghost pensioners in the system.
Okay.
A Treasury single account policy of the federal government and the GIFMIS system of payment of the vast majority of the federal pensioners have also drastically mitigated pension frauds and inherent delays in settlement of accumulated pension arrears and other retirement benefits of affected pensioners. The PTAD is more than ever before engaging pensioners and their unions for symbiotic interactions, thereby progressively building confidence among the parties. PTAD is also adopting modern technology to ensure that some of the challenges associated with routine field verification exercises are eliminated. For instance, the I Am Alive policy, which is a technology-driven system of pensioners confirming their status in the comfort of their homes using the ICT, is being introduced by PTAD, and pensioners are being trained on it.
Okay.
The partner union is collaborating with PTAD to ensure that our members take advantage of these opportunities and to ensure that retirees of the defunct federal parastatals are verified, payrolled, and the accumulated arrears over the years paid. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that, the picture you painted, which was the situation before now, has, remarkably changed since President Muhammadu Buhari took over. The pensioners have never had it this good before now. So we appreciate the president and we appreciate the administration on this matter.
Okay. So I know you are talking directly or in respect of your union and your members, because I know you and I know, except we want to say something else, that we still have, whether in the some public service agencies or state agencies of government, we still have issues of pensions being, in fact, a big issue. So now, but I want us to look at, because your union covers federal parastatals and private sector
Yes.
pensioners. Now, according to section 1, subsection A of the Pension Act 2014, which explicitly talks about the divergent and uniform standard for pension administration and, of course, retirement benefits, meaning that it was supposed to have a uniform standard for whether you are in the public service, whether you are in the private sector. So why is it that we are still having some of these issues of non-uniformity standard, especially with the private sector this time? Private sector. Why is it that we are still having some of these issues, to deal with?
Thank you very much. You see, that Part 1A of the Pension Reform Act 2014 as amended is an important and ambitious objective of the Act.
Okay.
It aims to establish a uniform set of rules, regulations, and standards for the administration and payment of retirement benefits for the various public services of the Federation, the Federal Capital Territory Public Service, the state public services, local government
Yes, the
area
local government.
services, and even the private sector retirees.
Yes.
This is the real essence of the reform, if you ask me, so that both defined benefit scheme and the contributory pensioner scheme retirement benefits are paid with minimal difficulties. That's the essence of the Reform Act. But as you know, that in our clime, the issue is not the absence of robust laws and regulations. The issue is the lack of the political will and capacity to implement the laws appropriately. PRA 2014, as amended, is implemented by governments and the private sector organizations in our country, you know, excuse me. Yes, if it is implemented by all stakeholders, all those affected by the law, uh, the private sector organizations in our country, you know. But as you know, let me repeat this. The issue is the lack of the political will and capacity to implement the laws appropriately. And so if the PRA 2014 as amended is implemented by governments and the private sector organizations in our country, the challenges faced by retirees will be a thing of the past. Another issue is poor or lack of enforcement of the laws. For instance, even the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended, Section 173 is clear on protection of pension rights. Similarly, the Trade Unions Act is clear on status and funding of registered trade unions through the checkup system. Unfortunately, even some government agencies find it difficult to implement the laws as provided. Majority of the state governments have relegated pension payments to the background, with some of them owing their pensioners for years with impunity. You talked about the private sector. This is the worst hit. Many private sector organizations do not pay pension at all. The few of them that pay at all do not have regard for the extant laws and regulations of the country on pension. Or the
Yes,
regulation.
that's where, hold on, sir. That's where my question was directed at the
Yeah.
private sectors being
Yes.
able to stick to paying a uniformed pension, you know, a benefit together
Mm,
with the public sector. Because
mm,
if you look at the private sector itself, individually, organizations, run their businesses on different, uh, uh, how will I put it now, different capacity in terms of finance. So, for instance, I run my organization and I have been managing, I have been struggling. You know how far and how much it is for businesses to thrive in our climate. And somebody that has struggled over the years, to come up, and because you have somebody that's been working with you for a number of years, and you just decide out of your own goodwill to give a certain amount, and government is saying, no, this is what you're supposed to do. When you had on your own taken care of, electricity, taking care of so many things that government is supposed to have provided for the private business. So that is where the ambiguity comes in when it comes to this issue of uniform standard. So I asked that question because I want to know what your union is doing. Is it like you're trying to compel private sector to ensure that they go with the standard that has been put in place?
Okay, you see, the word compel, there's nothing compulsion about the activities of the trade unions. The truth is that the ground norm of our country, the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and other relevant statutes in our country have, decided, have provided for all employers of labor the number of employees you have, that you should be able to provide certain amenities, including pension payment or after retirement benefits. The laws are there. But like you have said, as a private individual who take on all the expenses, all the costs to run your organization, you find it difficult to say, okay, after you have served me this number of years, uh, let me continue to take care of you. So it is not a, to that extent, it's not the government. The blame is not on government alone. The laws are there. National Assembly has made laws, and but where you blame the government is a lack of capacity to implement those laws. There's no reason. Let me give you, for instance, all the big banks, we know every year the level of profit they declare. But I can tell you, since they are private sector organization, they should belong to my union. But I cannot tell you that it's only one or two banks that are maintaining their that are aligned with FEPAN, because their organizations, the former employers, are able to pay them. But even what they are paying them is not in tandem with the laws. You heard about minimum wage adjustment, and its consequential adjustment for pensioners. The banks that are affiliated or aligned with us have not been attended to. But yet, nobody is forcing or compelling, using your word, the former employers to do the needful. So, while I blame the government for not doing the needful in trying to implement, of course, the regulatory agencies, when I mean government, I mean regulatory. For instance, now you have PENCOM, which takes care mainly of the contributory pensioners, and of course, PITAD, that is taking care of the defined benefit pensioners. So if these people can up their game and try to see, PENCOM is the major regulatory organ when it comes to agency, when it comes to pensions and gratuities and retirement benefits. So the private sector people, it's not as if they don't know that there are laws that compel or make laws that make it necessary for them to cater for their ex-workers. But government should do better by making sure. The worst, if we want to talk about, what about the states? The state pensioners, like I said earlier, some state pensioners have forgotten all about the pension. Very few states pay, we don't know, but we know that we have private sector people in the states, though they are not under our supervision. But I've always, last time I told the Honorable Minister of Finance that look, we are pensioner. A pensioner is a pensioner, whether you are in the state or in the federal government. We all buy from the same market. We all face the vagaries of the cost of living in Nigeria. So
In
that
Nigeria.
federal government is doing well to pay us, particularly under President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Honorable Minister is doing well to release the money monthly. Our counterparts in the states are not finding it easy because many of the states cannot pay locals of the local
Yes.
government.
The pensioners in this in various, yeah.
Should be on deck to ensure that pensioners in this country do not pass through what they are passing through, particularly
Yeah,
those that
yeah.
are not.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just like you have rightly put it, pensioners in every uh, sectors of the economy, in every tiers of government, are not supposed to go through what they are going through. I mean, if we are to give room for people to begin to call in, you will hear a lot of stories of what they are going through. Pensioners are going through around this country, across the country, especially like you rightly put it, the states. Theirs is another ball game. It's another story for another day. So, but then we are not going into that because I know they are not directly under your union. We're trying to look at what you and your union are doing for your members in your union. So now I understand that the private businesses, the private sectors that you are looking at are the big fish, the big organizations, the big companies, that have succeeded over time and has like maybe up to 100, 200 workforce. And then again, the
They
scheme
declare
that
huge profit at the end of each year. They declare
so
huge profits, and yet
the
their
scheme.
ex-workers are. It's too
Okay,
bad.
so the scheme that we are talking about, sir, the scheme uh, made mention about private sectors. Now, I like I shared with you earlier, with over 50% of our workforce in Nigeria are informal. We are, engaged in micro, small, medium scale business enterprises, and there's of course an obvious gap that about 90% of Nigerians are not covered by this scheme, thereby exposing, like I made mention, I'm struggling as a business owner, and after years of somebody working with me, expect me to continue paying you because you are retired. Now it exposes this set of people to social injustice in their old age because they don't have a coverage, they don't have a pension administrator, they don't have something to fall back on. For this set of people that are supposed to have been covered by the same scheme that you are, after the big organizations for. What is your union doing for this set of people so that they can also be covered or captured in the scheme? Sir?
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier on, the Pension Reform Act is a very comprehensive law that takes care, makes provision for both public service workers and private sector workers. I am not too sure of the figures you have quoted. However, I am aware that the federal government of Nigeria has registered the Contributory Pensioners Union of Nigeria, CPUN,
Yeah.
as a trade union to cater for the interests of the contributory pensioner scheme retirees.
Okay.
So the MSMSE people, the organized labor, should leverage on the existence of this union, I mean the CPUN, to engage the PENCOM with a view to doing the needful for this category of citizens. I must tell you here that the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, which is in charge of trade unionism and pensions, trade unionism, has clearly determined the jurisdictional scope for the three registered trade unions for Nigerian pensioners or Nigerian retirees. Namely, you have FEPA, which I have the privilege
to be the president.
Sorry, sorry for that interruption.
Okay.
FEPA, Federal Presenter and Private Sector Pension Association of Nigeria, the Contributory Pensioners Union of Nigeria, and of course, the Nigeria Union of Pension, which was the hitherto monopoly organization, and these other two unions were grouped from it. And so, the jurisdictional scope of each of the unions is clearly determined by the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. So it will be important, advice will be, like I said earlier, get all the people, NUP for now, taking care of the state pensioners and especially the pensioners and the local government pensioners. And of course, the all federal civil service retirees, how they are managing them, not something like they're happy about. However, all contributory pensioners are under income, and they should leverage on the provisions of the Reform Act and ensure that the organization income is taken care of. It has to do with the existing law. Then they should come together and approach the National Assembly to, pick out the act and make provision for effective unionism among those people. So the private sector people, I can assure you, we are working with some of the organizations and we are reaching out more. As we can, all those people should come to us. And with time,
Okay. All right, sir. Okay.
better, will improve.
Okay. Thank you so very much, sir. I think right now we'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the rest of the conversation with
It's all right.
Comrade Chief Temple Obani. Let's go on a break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Labors TV, labor and business television, where we bring new perspective to every story. We promote awareness on events in various sectors of the economy in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world. We celebrate global leaders and personalities that have risen against all odds, making tremendous strides in countless industries. With innovative, unbiased, cutting-edge stories and global events just for you. Don't miss our exclusive interviews with world leaders and entrepreneurs as they share their inspiring stories with the world. And be sure to catch our Labor Roundtable, highlighting views on labor issues. Be sure to also grab your Global Labor Events and Business magazine, a magazine you must have. So join us here on Labors TV. This is where great conversations begin.
All right, this is where great conversation begins. Welcome back.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
we have been, I've been speaking with Comrade Chief Dr. Temple Obani. He is the President General of FEPA. And in our conversation so far, he has shared with us what their union has been doing for pensioners in the federal parastatals and, of course, the private sector. He has also mentioned that government has a lot to do to ensure that the Reform Act is being will get to be enforced by all stakeholders involved. So government actually have a lot of job to do. Maybe by coming up with regulatory agencies to checkmate and of course ensure that the organizations and persons involved in the putting all of these laws into being effect do what you're supposed to do. So now, Comrade Temple, we're going to look at some of the challenges you can state categorically that the pensioners are facing. Because I know you have been in this sector for many years since I knew you. And of course, as a pensioner yourself, even though you may want to, you know, quote it quote it to, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to use another word, quote it to make it look like everything is glossy, that we want to go down to the basics now, be very real about the challenges, some of the challenges that you can state, owing to the fact that you have members of your union who are pensioners, who are the ones directly facing these issues. Can you share with us some of the challenges that some pensioners or pensioners under your umbrella are facing? I know you may want to paint it to make it look beautiful, but the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much once more. It is in my character to see all pensioners as pensioners. In labor parlance, we say injury to one is injury
It's
to
injury to
all.
all.
And so, in answering this question, responding to this question, I want to tell you that the challenges faced by most retirees in Nigeria range from, failure of state and local government to capture, enroll, and pay pension to their ex-workers. Most private sector organizations do not pay pension at all. In fact, they discourage unionism so that ex-workers can now come together to form a formidable front to engage them as is the case. That is why, like you have rightly said, government still has a lot to do. Now that the laws are not there. But the federal government pensioners are currently enjoying regular monthly pensions. I stand to be corrected. Nonetheless, there are outstanding pension arrears owed some pensioners, as well as isolated issues of short payments, which are being addressed by Peter, and we also help to facilitate uh, to make sure that these problems that pensioners who come up with genuine cases, their cases are addressed. Generally, as is in the case with so many other sectors, the biggest challenge faced by pension and pension administrators include funding. Funding usually imposes a challenge on the pension schemes, like several other sectors of the national economy. We should all pray, however, that the next administration after President Muhammad Buhari's regime will sustain, and probably improve on the legacy he will leave behind. You know, so it is important that the current momentum is sustained, because, like I said, federal pensioners receive those who have been identified as bona fide and genuine pensioners. They receive their pensions, as far as I know, regularly like those under the
Okay.
different scheme.
Okay.
And
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for letting us know.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for letting us know that federal pensioners are good,
Yes,
and the present administration has been doing a whole lot to ensure that pensioners under this umbrella is being taken care of. So, and it is quite unfortunate for those that are in the states that may still that are still facing, some issues or the other. And just like you mentioned, funding is one challenge, and I'm glad to hear that all of this, if not completely, are being handled as is supposed by the present administration. Okay,
that's
so that takes us to our call to action words right now.
okay.
Just like you mentioned, the governments of the Muhammadu Buhari has done so much, in addressing pension issues. Now, for those in the states, so I think this advice now should go to the state government. What do you think, you know, should be the right approach for stakeholders, for state governments, for governors, to explore in order to holistically address some of these issues or the plight or welfare of pensioners in their respective states? Hello, sir. Are you with me? Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. What I'm asking is, what do you think state governments and other related stakeholders need to do in order to explore a holistic approach that will address the plight of pensioners in Nigeria?
Okay. There are a lot of things. There's a lot of things that can be done by all stakeholders. But the major thing I must say, in my view, is that the government and stakeholders, including the National Assembly, organized labor, and any other relevant bodies should, without delays, synergize to make pensions a first line charge, you know, in the constitutionally too. Yes, because every year when we see government budget and there are items that are placed as first line charge items. So whether there's money internally generated or not, government can go ahead or agencies can go ahead and find money and settle those items. The pension should be, whether in the federal or state or private sector, should be made a priority. Should be, there should be a legal framework to ensure that pensions are placed under, the first line charge, and that should be recognized in the Constitution. That is why I mentioned National Assembly, organized labor, and so on and so forth. Uh,
Okay.
Pensioners are a vulnerable group, stating the obvious, who have used their youthful age, to serve their fatherland and created wealth. The balance that labor creates wealth.
Wealth.
Nigeria should emulate the advanced countries where retirees are always treated as senior citizens who have paid their dues and contributed to the national development. This is the only and best way to address the plight of pensioners in Nigeria. Perhaps more importantly, it will encourage, when workers, active workers know that when they retire, they will not die in penury. There will be money for them to take care of their health and every need, you know. It will encourage active workers to give their best while at work and discourage corruption and other vices
Mm,
in the politics. So it is important. The point I'm making, the very, very key point I'm making is that both federal government and the state should make payment of pension a priority. Every budget year, let provision be made for pension payments. And of course, another retirement benefits, some of which in some sectors have been there for several years and nobody is attending to them.
mm, mm. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Um, Comrade Temple just made mention of synergy between all stakeholders. And of course, I think this is where we need to start the discussion. We need to go back to the drawing board and see how we can come together, and arrive at a beneficial decision that will benefit every pensioners in the country, irrespective of the sector, and of course, irrespective of whoever your employer is. Pensioners, as Comrade Temple has rightly put,
Exactly.
uh, pension issues are supposed to be, be a top-notch issue for every employer. So if you're an employer, you should have pension plan for your employees at their exits. All benefits, all retirement benefits and all of that are supposed to be handy and easy for them to access, because I know there are a lot of issues when it comes to, okay, having pension administrators, but at the end of the day, getting access to the funds becomes an issue. So all of this has to be addressed if we must move forward, and of course, if we want a better welfare for our pensioners. Thank you so very much, sir, for sharing all of that with us. And that takes us to our next segment of the show, because we are almost coming to the end of the show. And this segment is called the fun segment, Comrade Chief, sir. I know you may be wondering, Shirley, which one is fun segment again? Me, old man like this. No, old man, in as much as I know now, you're youthful at heart, they say. So I want you to share with us, sir, when you are not in, labor leaders move from meetings to meetings, back to back. When you are not in one meeting discussing pension issues, and
Yeah.
all of that, what other things do you find fun doing? What are your fun facts? What are your hobbies, I would say, that you do when you are not engaged in meetings?
Well, actually, you know me when I was much younger and when we were more active too. But the
Mm.
truth is, if I tell you that what you discuss and is nothing more than pension and pensioners. When sometimes when I fall sick, I'm off color. My wife will tell me, look, if you can reduce the number of calls, telephone calls you make and receive and talk.
You will get well quicker.
So the fun I have really is, apart from my other hobbies, it is pension all through we discuss. Trade unionism, pension and pensioners, welfare of this vulnerable group of people. There are pensioners who don't even know, they have never seen with their naked eyes the money they earn as pension. Some of them are bedridden. Some of them live on drugs. So what makes me happy is when I'm talking about the welfare of these senior citizens. That's true. Apart from family, I don't have too many friends, but each time we meet, most of my friends are pensioners. We're either talking about when pension will be paid, why it has not been paid. The word FITA is now a household name in all pensioners' homes. Has it come? Has it not come? Why is it not coming? So those are the things that make me, keep me busy. And of course, I'm happy doing it if that is regarded as fun. Although, although I have my hobbies, I have my hobbies. I love watching sports on television and documentaries. I also, I also keep myself busy reading and writing. Of course, as a leader, a trade union leader, you can't do without reading voraciously and writing all the time. But sometimes too, when I have to discuss with my children, of course, they are very many miles away from me. I feel happy. I feel happy. More so those that are doing so well. But uh, aging is not an easy thing. People should provide. People should provide for cultural things. I can hardly drive now for a long time, or even drive at night. So
Yeah,
I'm
they used to say you cannot cheat nature.
working now. They should make adequate provision for their retirement age. Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much for sharing that with us. For those of you that never knew that Comrade
Mm,
Temple, you know, when he's not with you,
mm.
doing that which was called to do, discussing about your welfare as pensioners. He also find a place where he can, watch sports, relaxing his mind because no matter what, you have to get to a comforting zone where you can
I
relieve
watch.
yourself from all the stress.
I'm a fan of Chelsea, and
Oh, Chelsea. Hey, I'm a fan of Arsenal. I'm not though. I'm just
lose for life.
all right. Thank you so very much, sir, for
But
sharing.
Shirley, I want to say something. It's not
Okay.
always blame. It's not always a blame game. I will
All right.
advise from vantage position that I occupy as a leader of pensioners for years.
Mm-hmm.
We are like, I want to say that pensioners are like Oliver Twist. We
Mm-hmm.
are always asking for support.
I'll go
If
ask him more. Okay.
somebody called me from Port Harcourt today. He said, what's happening? I'm not hearing anything. What is happening? Then, when I began to mention the implementation of the consequential adjustment, the increase in pension that we got from for electricity sector pensioners. And he said he got all those money, but nobody explained how the money came. you know. And so have enough time to look for news. And for my colleagues who are leaders, please, they should do well to be communicating to our members there. It is advisable too that pensioners should always behave like senior citizens that we are.
Mm.
Eschew inter and intra-union crisis as much as possible. We have to be united. Unity is important. We have to be united to be able to achieve the aims and objectives of
Got you.
our business and that of
Mm-hmm.
our youth. We need to always show empathy on our more vulnerable and disadvantaged members. government and all other stakeholders and authorities, especially those who are taking care of us, to enjoy our understanding and the cooperation at all times. It has to be right hand washing left hand, and left hand. Symbiotic relationship. That's what I'm preaching.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, all right. I believe it's noted that we need
Thank you.
to, come together and mutually agree to work together. They say one hand cannot wash itself, so it has to be the two hands. And to be a successful leader, we must be able to communicate effectively, with our members, and of course, that communication remains key. So whatever it is that leaders need to do to ensure that you speak to your members in a language that they understand, so that they will get to know that truly we have somebody that is leading us, and you as a leader, you know that you have your followers which they are happy with your leadership. It has to be both sides. So that's a very candid advice. Thank you so much, sir. I know you to be a very active trade unionist over the years, and your your good works in unionism has brought you to where you are today. So I want to say congratulations once again, like I mentioned rightly when we started. And that will take us to the next a question, or I would say it's not a question per se, is for you to just share with us, your words of wisdom to your members that are watching you. I know you have said a whole lot, about pensioners, employers, both government and the private sector. For pensioners, which are your members directly now, that are watching you around the world, what would be your words of wisdom, words of advice for them, sir?
Like you said, it's not a personal advice, and we cannot afford to bite the fingers that feed us.
Okay.
That a proverb that our elders, have always said. If somebody is feeding you and you keep biting that person's fingers, may not be willing to feed you next
Again.
next time. So
Okay.
let us show cooperate. Let us cooperate with our regulatory bodies. Let us cooperate amongst ourselves. Now that we have three registered trade unions, the idea of one union going to court against the other, for spurious reasons, will not help. Pensioners are pensioners. We come together, the better. The earlier we are, the better, the more united we are, the better we'll be able to pursue our goals.
Common
And
enemy. Okay.
will always, government, our employers, all stakeholders will be able to take us seriously.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. So, pensioners out there, you need to continue to cooperate with the agencies of government, the regulatory bodies that are in place to cater for you. So do everything you can. If it's to read, read. For those of you that can still read, your sight and all of that are still in place. If it's to ask questions from your children, people around you about what's going on. And I know you people usually face have issues around getting captured, for pensioners, for them to get captured for one thing or the other and all of that. So please Let's try to cooperate more so that together, all the registered trade unions and every effort that they are putting in place to ensure that you have a better welfare, everything will work together for our good. All right, so thank you so very much. We have come to the end of the show, but before we leave, we want to give a shout out to these beautiful ladies that joined us. We have Toyin Wiggins that joined in. Thank you so very much, sis, for chiming in. And we also have Chidi Lawrence. All right, thank you so very much, Chidi Akaniro, for joining in. And we also have, oh wow, the doctor. We have Murphy G. Moore that joined in. My husband. So thank you. That's my husband, Murphy Jimo. Thank you very much, sir, for supporting us. We appreciate you. Okay, so that's all we can take on
Yeah.
today's episode of the show. It has been an educative time with Dr. Temple Ubani.
Yes, yes. Shirley, please, I want to, emphasize the address of FEPAN. FEPAN for
Okay,
now is our national secretariat is at Countryside Guest House, a big guest
okay.
house.
Your secretariat is in Abuja.
Yeah, Countryside Guest House is located at plot 115 to 117 Cadastral Zone 75 off Gadonasco Road. There's a place called, popular place there called 21 Junction in
Okay,
Kubwa.
okay,
That is
okay,
where we are located. Our
okay,
national is now.
okay.
For pensioners who want to share information with us, go to that place at Kubwa, 115 to 117 Cadastral Zone 75 off Gadonasco Road. It's a very popular place.
Okay.
Our
All right. We're going to ensure that we have that in the chat, in the comment section, so that they can, have detailed information about where your secretariat is here in Abuja. And I'm glad to know that you're in Abuja, so we can always, hook up. And again, that's for pensioners out there who want to share information, or you have any question about what has been discussed, or you want to meet with Comrade Chief Temple, you can reach him, at his secretariat, and whatever questions you have will be addressed there. All right, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the show and sharing your information about your journey and what you are doing for pensioners in your union. Thank you so very much. All right, so once again, that's all we can take on today's episode of the show. I hope you were able to learn one or two things about the pensioners in Nigeria, how they are faring, and what FEPAN specifically has been doing, to help better the welfare of pensioners in Nigeria. So if you want to place an advert or sponsor this shows in any way, you can contact us through the details that is scrolling on the screen right now. If you also want to feature on the front cover or inside pages of our magazine, or you have a story you want to share with the world about how you are making impact, you want to come on the show, the same details are available for you to, contact us with. And don't forget to like our Facebook page so you can get notifications on when we go live. Follow us also on Instagram at gleam_magazine. And we would love to see you same time next week. Bye bye. Until then, remain fabulous.